What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back for SRL. This is the Canadian Grand Prix, round number 6 I believe, for season 2 of the Oceania League. So very excited to get this round underway. I also have an announcement to make as well. I have just recently signed with an esports team. Veloce Esports is the name of the organization. We signed the contract the other day, I think on Thursday or Friday, and yeah, I'm now technically a pro esports driver, but honestly, esports is actually just a small part of this deal that I have with Veloce. They're actually going to be taking on a much wider role with my YouTube channel, giving me a little bit of support. I could potentially have an editor doing some of my YouTube videos. I'm going to be doing some Twitch stuff as well. So it's just going to be opening myself up to have more time to do other things. And hopefully there's some really cool opportunities that arise down the line, possibly going to like real life race weekends and stuff. So a lot of really cool things. It's not just the esports. In fact, the whole YouTube side and business side of things is actually kind of the bigger part, but I still have a big focus on trying to qualify for F1 Esports 2018, so we'll see how that goes. I don't think I've said it either, but I actually have qualified for the, what's the name of it? I can't think of the name of it now. It's the wildcard route. So I actually qualified for the top 10 in Baku, but because of my internet, I couldn't actually take part in the online race because I'm from Australia. So I'm now in the wildcard route. So I'll be doing a time trial over a couple of tracks, and if I am one of the fastest two out of all the people who do that, then I'm through to F1 Esports. So pretty awesome news. But here we are for the Canadian Grand Prix. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of setup work just before I headed out on track. You can see it's actually raining on track now. I was the last one to get out on circuit, unfortunately. I was having a look at what the strategy was for the race. Maybe a little bit conservative. I really should have got out there a bit faster, but I was fiddling around with the setup and changing the tyre compounds and many other things, taking into consideration for the weekend, whereas everyone else just seemed to rush out as soon as they possibly could. And looks like they're going to get better times, and you can see Mitchie goes purple with a 16.7. Ryan goes to the top as well just a few seconds later. I've overshot the hairpin because at this point the track is well past its best, and if I get anywhere apart from the expectation is I'm going to get last here because I'm the last one to set a time on this track. So we come across the line on the super soft tyres and we actually go P8, so we've beaten half the field despite doing the lap with the worst conditions out of anyone. So I will certainly take that. The reason why I went on super soft tyres at the start is because when the track is slightly damp, the harder compounds actually work a little bit better than the softer compounds. But the fact that I left it well over a minute past everyone else setting their laps meant that my time really wasn't competitive. So we start P8 for the Canadian Grand Prix. Ryan has pole, Warden second. Neon Trudeau B3. Roscoe and Mitchie have done a great job there, P4 or 5. Pom's the win as well, shout out to him for a pretty good qualifying effort there. Guys like Jetson, Jared, a few other people down the order, they invalidated their laps at the start. And that absolutely killed their session, and so they had to do times on the intermediate tyres. So yeah, big shame for those guys. But we have rain for the race, and I knew that rain was coming for the race. That's why I was having a look. And so part of the reason why I was qualifying on the supers as well is maybe giving myself some flexibility heading into the second half of the race, maybe not having to stop and then switching straight onto the intermediate tyres. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But P8 on the grid, we are the best placed runner on the super soft tyres. Let's see if we can make our way through the field in this Canadian Grand Prix. Away we go for round 6. Looks like we got a fairly decent start there up against HO. Add Pomps to the win heading into turn 1. Got to be nice and conservative. HO has drilled the side of Mitchie there, and I was able to slide up the inside of both of those guys, so I'm up in a P6. There's a bit of contact with Jared. Jared is out of the Grand Prix. HO has front wing damage as well, and that has completely ruined his start to this Canadian Grand Prix. Yeah, that's the last thing that anyone wants to get involved in, and I was actually quite lucky in the end there too. avoid all that. Cutting onto the end of the first lap, I'm going up the inside, pumps to the win here, into the hairpin. I've gone in a little bit too deep. I think I locked up the inside front tyre there, and didn't get myself the best chance of exiting the corner cleanly, and palms to the wind gets me back there on the exit. So slipstream, bit of rich mixture. We might be running with lower downforce than him. We go up the inside into turn 1. We had the track position before we even got to the braking zone. I just made a mistake there, and now Poms has re-overtaken me here, so it's going to be side by side heading into turn 1. We're going to have the outside, but if we hold it, we'll have the inside for turn 2, and I think we might just get there. There we go. Just about on the traction there, so a bit of a contentious move there with Poms for a few corners there, but we got the job done, and now we're into P5 at the end of the first lap. Here's a replay of the start from Ryan. Pole position, Warden alongside in the Force India as well. Looks like Warden got the better getaway. Ryan will have the inside for turn 1. Ryan probably not commanding track position enough there, giving Warden too much space, and he gives up the lead of the Grand Prix there, so expect these two to battle away quite fiercely over the course of this Grand Prix. They're very evenly matched on pace, and we should be up there as well, but with our super soft tyre, I think we'll play into this race quite nicely as the laps unfold. But there on lap 5, you can see we cut the chicane there. We actually cut both parts of it, and we actually got 2 warnings there, despite being only warned once. So just be aware that if I cut one more time, it is a penalty. So for the rest of this race, we're gonna have to be pretty conservative on the old corner cutting. But this place is pretty ruthless with the way that the corners are. It's very hard to avoid just taking a little bit too much curb sometimes. But cutting back to Ryan and Warden, this is Warden in the lead of the Grand Prix. He's actually oversteered into the wall there, chipped off a bit of his front wing, and now he's going to be under supreme pressure from his teammate New Zealand Ryan. We're now trying to put pressure on Roscoe Arm here in P4. He's still doing a really good job here to hold on to this position. And I can tell you at the time when I was racing, I was quite frustrated because I couldn't get past him. I felt like he was running with lower downforce, and he was getting great exits off of corners, and there wasn't all too much I could do. I was really just waiting for a mistake here. So the pace here from Roscoe was really, really impressive. So I just had to bide my time on the harder compound tyres. Like I said, I knew I was going to phase into the Grand Prix once these guys' tyres started to die out. It looks like it's starting to happen. We got the inside. Neon Tree Dome has actually spun out as well right in front of us as we were getting the move done on Roscoe, who was sliding about all through that first sector. And in the blink of an eye, we've gone from 5th to 3rd. And it was actually really, really close between myself and Neon Tree Dome. In terms of like running into him, like there was literally only 20 meters, maybe 15, 10 meters, I don't know, between myself and Neon making contact. I'm just so glad he ghosted when he did. But anyway, this is Ryan on the attack with Warden. He's still got that front wing damage, mind you. The rain is now starting to set in as well. So very tricky conditions for all of us to negotiate at this stage of the Grand Prix. Ryan gets a great exit around the outside of Warden now, who seems to be really struggling with not only the front wing damage, but I think tyre wear as well. Warden, I feel like on balance of things, is a little bit harder on his tyres than what Ryan is, and he goes clean around the outside of his teammate into the final chicane, and that is job done for him. I think he'll pull away now for the rest of this until Warden makes a pit stop for a new front wing. But lap 13, we're closing in the gap to the 2 leaders here. These super soft tyres are really starting to come into their own now with tyre wear, but also the conditions now with the track starting to get a bit damp. My tyres are really starting to hold on and come alive, whereas these ultra soft tyres, they're really starting to die out, and we've made up the best part of 5 seconds in about 3 or 4 laps. Warden now pits. He can't stay out any longer. Those ultra soft tyres have already done like 13, 14 laps, and they're actually getting to the point where they're in puncture territory, and I think he just wants to get the intermediate tyres on now. But you can see Ryan now, we put up to him now as well. He's sliding around all over the place, and this is going to be a move for the lead here. Slipstream, DRS, rich mixture. We're all over the back of Ryan. He's getting pretty nervous here, so we're going to go up the inside into the final chicane. We go for a dive, but Ryan is actually going into the pit lane, and that is the end of that battle. I had no idea where Ryan went in that exchange. I actually thought he overshot the final chicane, but no, he went into the pits, and he's gone on to the intermediate tyres. But as you can see there from Jeff, he's saying the other cars on intermediate tyres are actually going to be struggling in these conditions. So he believes it's best to do what we're doing at the moment is staying out on the super soft tyres. And I didn't really read that message at the time. I was busy concentrating, but I kind of knew that anyway. Like, I felt like it was still too early for the intermediate tyres. DRS hadn't been disabled yet. There was still a decent amount of grip and traction. We're now starting to dip into the 1 minute 20s in terms of lap time. But, you know, overall, the dry tyres were still just a little bit faster. But everyone on the ultra soft tyres didn't have that luxury. They had to pit, otherwise they were risking punctures. But now we get to lap 17, lap 18, where there was still life in the tyres and the DRS still hadn't been disabled yet. But I had a bit of a scary lock up into that hairpin, and I thought, you know, enough's probably enough. We'll our fate will be the same as, you know, Ryan and Warden. We've taken these tyres as far as I think we can get them. We'll go on the intermediate tyres. I feel like it might only be 30 seconds, 40 seconds before DRS gets disabled anyway, and we'll chuck on the intermediate tyres. So I believe we're going to come out in the lead here. My teammate Zombie Hunter, 20 seconds back, is in the pits as well. He was the nearest challenger to us, so I think we've gained a lot more than what I anticipated that I was going to gain. We rejoined on the track, and Ryan is actually like 15 seconds behind me. Such is the time that they've lost just in those opening few laps on their intermediate tyre stint. Ryan, for the subsequent laps after me coming out of the pits, he was really struggling with his braking point heading into the final chicane. Very easy to do. The grip levels are constantly changing in changeable conditions like this. It's so easy to overstep the mark, especially when you're in Ryan's position, trying to be the chasing car, trying to make up that margin. It's very easy to overstep the mark, but for me, for the rest of the race, I was just cruising. Honestly, just trying to get the tyres to the end. I felt like I was at a point where I could probably stretch the inters to the end, but guys like Warden and Ryan and everyone else who initially stopped for their intermediate tyres, I knew they were in serious trouble of getting their tyres to the end. They had to do well over half the race to get to the finish, and it's got to a point now where Ryan can't stay out on his intermediate tyres now any longer, and he has to make another stop. So this strategy today is absolutely just played into our favour beautifully. But people are starting to go on dry tyres now. Ryan actually, instead of going for a new set of intermediate tyres, he's gone for a new set of ultras and is trying to force my hand a little bit, try something a little bit different and see if he can come out on top. But you know, you can see the gap is 28 seconds. I think the delta for a pit stop is 20 seconds, something like that. But honestly, I really didn't want to risk it. There's one lap to go. DRS has just been enabled again, so that means the dry tyres are now faster. But still, this did not make it any easier to negotiate this final few laps. I knew the track was drying out. I just wish it would have stayed wet, to be honest, for the dying few laps. That's something I, you know, normally wouldn't say. I'm not a fan of wet conditions, but today I just didn't want any complications. But we decided to just play it safe, stay out. There's no way I'm going to lose 30 seconds on the last lap of the Grand Prix on a set of intermediate tyres. But in saying that, the tyres are getting close to that puncture range. You can see 72% on the left rear tyre. The tyres can pop at 75. And knowing my luck lately, it happens right on 75 sometimes. You can see that little slide out of that right-hander gave me an extra 2% tyre wear out of one corner alone. So after I saw that, I was crapping myself. I did not want to invoke any more oversteer for the rest of this race. So I just went into ultra tyre conservation mode. You can see I'm braking really gingerly into corners, not really going past, I think, 30 or 40%. Really easy on the throttle down the exit of corners, short shifting like crazy. We've now gone to 75%. So at this point, our tyres could explode at any point. But with just one corner to go, I don't feel like that'd cost us the race. Really easy into the final chicane. It's been a while since we've won a league race, but even longer since we've won one by this sort of a margin. First one of Season 2 in SRL. So there we go, guys. That has been the Canadian Grand Prix. Don't know what to say after that. That was pretty mental. The margin suggests it was a very comfortable race, but I can guarantee it was definitely far from that. A lot of tyre conserving, had to be very patient at times getting through the traffic, but we just about managed to do it. 29 seconds in the end to Ryan doing the two-stop. Took a gamble on the dry tyres towards the end there. I think they were probably only faster, maybe on the last 2 laps there. But, you know, we had the margin in hand to just cruise it home, and that's exactly what we did. One, it says on screen he finished in P3, but unfortunately there were some extra time penalties applied to Neon. I think he had a stop-go penalty. It applied 10 seconds instead of 5. So he will actually get on the podium today. But he had 22 seconds worth of time penalties. That is absolutely insane. A lot of people had penalties throughout the field. I don't think there was a single person who didn't have a penalty. Myself and HO being, I think, the only 2 in the field to only have 3 seconds worth. So I got my first penalty within like the first 5 or 6 laps, but from there on in I had to drive very well to not get a penalty after that. So very happy with the way I drove. Had to look after the tyres, especially with the intermediate tyres, so I couldn't push as much as I wanted to, and I was actually running a dry setup, which was very surprising in the end there. But that's been it for today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you smash the like button. It's been quite a while since I won a league race. Like I said, I think AOR Abu Dhabi, so a few weeks, but it turns out to be 11 league races if you combine AOR and SRL at the same time. But hopefully this can mean a sign of things to come. You'll see the driver standings up on screen. We've now moved up into P2. We're only a handful of points behind Ryan, so heading into the middle part of the season, things are well and truly up for grabs as we now head into Austria, I believe. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. AOR Silverstone is coming up tomorrow in real life, so catch the stream. Hopefully it should be a good one, and I'll see you guys then.